I'm Rajana Novkovich, and today we're at the Metuchen Public Library, where the Metuchen Edison Historical Society has put together a wonderful event for Local History Day. This event is something that is sponsored by them every year, and they do a wonderful job uncovering and preserving our community's rich history. And it's something that the community loves to come out and see. So let's take a moment and walk around.
It's really two main collections that we have. Copies of the Bulldog Bark, the high school newspaper, which I guess used to come out every couple weeks, and I guess they're from the 60s. And then the second major thing we have here today is the Edison and Metuchen police badges and memorabilia.
In 2014, we got a call from Ken Stevens saying he had this collection of police memorabilia that him and his father collected, and would we be interested in it? And I said, sure, we'll take a look at it. And he brought it here, and it's this remarkable collection of Edison and Metuchen police memorabilia. Everything from badges to the decals that were on the car doors of the police cars. We didn't have any of this information in our collection. And so it's a great addition. We have photos of the Edison chiefs, photos of the police department back in the 50s and 20s, and it's really, really remarkable. I really am glad we were able to get this.
One of the things that we've been trying to focus on recently are some of our publications. Last year we did an indexed compilation of our first 10 years of our newsletter, so that came out. We are now working on something we're calling Greetings from Metuchen and Edison, and it's going to be a book of kind of tourist ephemera from people coming to Metuchen. So it could be postcards, bottle openers, pot holders, things that are kind of mementos of the area. So we want to put a book together of that.
We're most known for our historic photographs. People are downstairs now. They'll be looking through the books for the next 3 hours. It's amazing.
What have you seen today that really has piqued your interest?
One thing in particular is I noticed that Stevensville Parkway was completely emptied when it was the Stevensville development was being built, and how open it was.
And is this something that you've shared as a family in terms of history and teaching history?
Yeah, absolutely. Would also, I think what's interesting, Raritan Arsenal and seeing the military influence in this area, as my father went through Camp Kilmer during World War II, so it's neat seeing the old pictures of the Arsenal and Camp Kilmer.
Well, this is album, I think I got one of the better ones, because it's through the 60s, when I was here. For example, in high school, we went to this studio to get our senior pictures taken. Oh, wow. So
that really brings back memories.
Yeah. Bar back shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was here, it was in bar stores. Mm-hmm. I know that because my mom worked there. We got a discount.
This room is the archives of the Metuchen Edison Historical Society, and we do store some library records in here also, since the library has been so gracious to give us the room to use. We call our room the Grimstead Room, named after Lloyd Grimstead, who took pictures of almost every home in Metuchen and then donated his collection to our society, which was one of our first main collections of photos. We also have on that top shelf up there, we have many of the old Metuchen yearbooks from the high school and a few of the Edison yearbooks. I like all the old documents. The pictures are really, really cool too, but I like looking at all the old documents which are in the file cabinets. We just have file after file of old papers that relate to our area. So this would be like the high school in Metuchen. So we have old programs and old, so this would have been a program for something many, many years ago. Closing exercises, 1911.
Wow.
That different people have donated throughout the years. Community pageants. This is where I think it's really fun to see all this old stuff.
People really want to know a sense of where they come from. It's very important to them to know where they come from. It's very important for them to feel like they belong to a community, to a society, to something. That social interaction is very, very important, and that foundation is very, very important. So the society really gives families an opportunity to get a sense of where they belong in the grand scheme of things, and not just in terms of where their place is today, but where their place would have been in the past. You know, how is school different today than it was then? Not just curriculum, but going to the building.
This is your life, it's your history. What you're doing today is history. It'll be history tomorrow. And you can look back on history and see what your parents, your grandparents, and your great-grandparents did, what others did in the community and everything. You can look back on it, you can see the library and say, wow, this was built back in 1910 or something. Or a school, this was built, the old Franklin School over here was built back at the beginning of the 19th century. Still there, and you can go in and look out, this is how people studied back then. It's very interesting.
The most interesting thing is the questions we get from people, because that causes us to look something up. And we may not have known anything about that, and we go and look it up and we find out more information about our community that we didn't know about.
That's the hardest thing, you know, because when they're little, they really don't have much of an interest in this. You know, mine, as you know, are twin 8-year-olds and a 10-year-old, and they're really not ready yet where they're interested. I mean, I've taken them in the past. After 10 minutes, they run around and tell me they're bored out of their skulls. So they're not ready. You know, when they're ready, I'll take them
But
and
do you
we'll
think
do
it's
something with them. It's important to do it. Yes, it's important to do it. But you have to do it when they're ready. You can't force it on them. You can't make them go. You can't make them pay attention. You can't make them like it. You know, my experience, limited as it is with children, is that if you want to instill something in them, you have to really do it with them, and you have to really make it a personal connection between you and them that they'll remember. You know, just to take them around and say, this is where this happened and that's where that happened, isn't going to get them interested. They have to have an interest, and you have to really make it a personal connection with them, where then you have an opportunity, a chance for them to really like it. But
Well, you could talk about what you remember and what was the things like around here when you were a child. It always changes. That's the one thing about history. Things will always change, and just when you think something's not going to change, it does. And an example of that is in Edison, James Monroe School last year. It was this time last year, it was an elementary school, and in a month from now, it burned down. And we do have some pictures of the old school, which, you know, it's gone. So they have their memories, and we have some photos. So taking things like a photo of your family in front of your house, so that the children will have the memory of what their house looked like and what they looked like when they were kids. Walk around town, look at the historic markers, look at the old buildings. Go up to Menlo Park, see the museum there. All things that locally that parents can take their kids to.
Well, I definitely learned a lot today, and I hope you did as well. And let's just remember that the Metuchen Edison Historical Society does a lot of wonderful work preserving all this great history, and they'll have another event like this. So when they do, be sure to come out with your family, come out with your kids. Let's get everyone to engage and feel more enriched because of the wonderful history that we could learn about our communities.